Hey, everybody, I'm Louis Amestoy here on the Bako Motorsports Power Hour. And, hey, Chris, can you tell John Farron to come in here for a minute? We're going to do, we have some special guests here. We got a lot to talk about today here on the Bako Motorsports Power Hour. And we are going to talk with Mike Griffith. Mike, what are you doing over there? How are you doing over there?
I'm doing fine, except it smells like hop chili from a nudist colony or something. I don't know. This place, Hop was eating sandwiches with onions or something over here. So
yeah, it's absolutely
smells
outrageous.
like a deli.
It is a deli. Well, one of our special guests today, by the way, is Felix Adamo of the Bakersfield, California. He's as connected to motorsports in this community as anybody. Your brother races at Auto Club Famosa Raceway. You got like all these other relatives that are at Kern County Raceway Park, and your Twitter feed generally has like 1 million pictures of motorcycle Grand Prix racing, right?
Yes.
All right, stay on top of that microphone. We'll talk to you in a second here. We got things to go to first. Well, this is, talk about, well, first off, it's sponsored by the Bakersfield, California. We've been covering racing since the beginning. It's show number 2. And we've got some, follow us on Facebook, by the way, in the Bako Motorsports Power Hour. We'll put clips of the show up. But we got things to talk about. We got local madness. The season really gets started this weekend with Auto Club Famosa Raceway's March meet. We have Bakersfield Speedway's historic 70th season opening up. So much going on, and we just got a lot of time, the next hour and 10 minutes to talk about motorsports. First things though first, let's get right to it. I got Mike Griffith here. 4 things that Mike Griffith has to react to. Today it's 4 things. Last week I think it was 6 things. All right, first up, here we go. All right, Mike, are you ready for it? Show us the picture, Chris. All right, what is your ideal lineup for the opening of Bakersfield Speedway? If you had your choice of the lineup of vehicles, what kind of classes would you want to see at Bakersfield Speedway?
Well, it'd be late models, mods, sport mods, hobby stocks. That'd be enough.
That'd be enough. That'd be a good way to start things. Okay, all right. Let's move on to question number 2. Okay, the weather impacted the winter showdown, but did it prove, in spite of this, that Kern County Raceway Park could host the big events?
Oh, it's very capable of hosting the big events. I think the fact that you had drivers from Florida, Georgia, 14 states, very capable.
All right. And number 3, here we go. Are you ready? What's the one thing you expect from the 2015 March meet? What's the one thing you expect from the 2015 March meet?
The air to be filled with nitromethane.
That's right.
That's
I thought
right.
they did a good job. I thought they did a good job of saying, here's 9 things to know about. And number 1, this is Auto Club Famosa Raceway, tweeted this out and put it on Facebook. 9 things to know about the March meet, and one of them was the air will be filled with nitromethane for sure. All right, number 4. How many packages of grapevines will you go through this weekend?
Actually, you're going to be in the trailer, and I bought a super big package, so there's about 2 or 3 pounds of grapevines sitting there.
Little do you guys know that when Mike and I cover the March meet, that we power through a box of grapevines between the segments of the shows that we do out there, and so we're looking forward to it. All right, Felix is here with us, and Felix, a longtime photographer here with Bakersfield, California, has almost as much time served here at the Californian as Mike Griffith does. Between the two of you, it's like 70 years of experience. It's incredible. Tell me about your take on the community and motorsports.
Well, where Bakersfield's known for motorsports. It always has been back when the March meet, and back when they had in the old days, it was like the event out in drag racing out here.
Right, and you grew up in the town like Mike Griffith did. I
Yes.
mean, what was your first exposure to auto racing? And how old were you?
Well, it was when I was in high school at South High. Every year at the March meet, senior ditch day would always be the Friday of the March meet.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
no one went to school.
And they went to the March meet.
And you went to the March meet.
Is that right?
There's a lot of senior ditch days. Every school had a senior ditch day.
Ours was the coolest, though. We got to go to drag races.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, I think a lot of schools went to the drag races. I'm sure North High went to the drag races.
And I remember before I was in high school, I was in junior high, whenever the March meet would come to town, they'd bring all the dragsters over to the Valley Plaza and park them in the mall.
Yeah.
And so you could walk in and look to them. And one year they had Tom McEwen there.
Right.
He was sponsored by Hot Wheels, I guess, because
Yeah.
you got to race Tom McEwen with a Hot Wheels car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
They did that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And so Tom McEwen would be there, and he's pretty much a regular at the March meet.
Yeah.
But your interest though is drag racing. You shot many great photos of drag racing through the years, but your love really is motorcycles, right?
Yeah. Basically that's how I got started in photography, was shooting motorcycle races for Cycle News.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so what kind of races were you shooting during that time?
Flat track racing and mainly road racing and flat track racing in at Laguna Seca, Riverside, Ascot Park.
Right. And so you would travel with this guy, right? You guys would go out to Indy and do stuff together, right? How many times did you cover the big races with Mears and the Indy teams?
Well, for the Indy, basically the photographers went back for the couple of weeks before during qualifying.
Okay.
We never was there for the race, and that way we got out, get a file shots and everything, cover qualifying. I did that like 4 or 5 times.
And what other races would you guys cover, during the regular season? Long Beach, Riverside?
Long Beach, yeah. I went to the very first Brickyard 400. That was won by Jeff Gordon, and we actually had Mike Chase was racing there. He was our local Southwest tour guy, and he got an automatic entry into the thing.
Wow.
He didn't even have to qualify.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a Winston West champion,
Winston
or
West
Winston
guy,
West.
yeah.
And I think the first race one of the first races I went to with Felix, he took me up. I don't even think we were working. It was Monterey for a motorcycle Grand Prix race.
Yeah.
I remember that early on. Went up there, and it was. I will say that's pretty amazing watching those motorcycles up there.
So, because you'll come to me and say, well, now the real story is this motorcycle race that's going on here, and is there any do they race at Button Willow? Where do they? Where can you find any motorcycle racing in? That's not dirt track racing, I should say.
Well, yeah, there's club racing at Button Willow and out Willow Springs out by Lancaster out in that area. They always have motorcycle races out there.
All right.
And there's flat track races up around Fresno. Back in the old days, there's flat track races in Bakersfield, Hanford, Visalia, Tulare. You could race 2 or 3 times a week.
Great. Right.
The old Sprockets TT
And the Sprocket,
track
yeah.
out there
Can't
by
forget Sprockets, that's right.
Sprockets out there at Gordon's Ferry.
Yeah, it's right at the base of the China Grade Loop there.
Well, we'll probably have plenty more time to discuss this with Felix in the future, because I want to have him come on every once in a while and give us insights into motorsports, because he's got a lot into it. And the more I talk to him, the more I know him, I know it. Just real quick before we go to break, because we got a lot of things to get to today. Kevin Harvick, by the way, and both of you can comment on this, just missing in Atlanta. What a dominant weekend, though. He wins the Xfinity race on Saturday, finishes second on Sunday to Jimmy Johnson. What are your thoughts on that race, Griff?
Yeah, that team's picked up right where they left off. They haven't got a win. Maybe would have won at Daytona if it didn't go yellow. Had a really good car in the middle of the Atlanta race. I think I was kind of watching it while I was out.
I think he led like 96
at
laps.
Kern County
or something
Raceway,
like that.
yeah. And I don't know what happened where he fell back, but get a second there. I mean, 2 seconds, they're stout.
And Casey Mears finished 15th at Atlanta. He was back, kind of moved up toward the end. He's actually, it's obviously very early. He's 6th in the Sprint Cup standings now, but he's definitely having a good season.
Yeah, I think he was pretty happy afterwards. They're running a lot better. Got a lap down, but he was running ahead of some guys you might think that he ran I always kind of looked at where Danica's running, where Casey's running. He's ahead of Danica.
He's ahead of Danica. He's 6th in the standings. Coming up this weekend is Las Vegas, the Cobalt 400. Then they go to Phoenix on the 15th, and then in Fontana on March 22nd. And speaking of Harvick, we said he won the Xfinity race on Saturday, so he's real hot. Ryan Reed, who you talked to at length the other day, finishes 16th in a race that was full of Cup drivers. What's Ryan Reed doing?
He wasn't totally happy, but he wasn't unhappy. He got caught on a green flag pit stop late in the race, which threw him 2 laps down. Caution came out while he was pitting, so you're just kind of screwed in that. But he thought he had a 10th to 13th place car where he's running 13th. His teammates finished in the top 10, so I think they're a lot happier with their mile-and-a-half program.
So we could still, that's kind of where he was at most of the season, was in that 15th to 16th range. But
and he thought, it wasn't the best day. He should have finished a little better, but I think they're happy with the direction they're going.
All right. Very good. All right. We got about 30 seconds before we get to a break. So we're going to take a break. We'll talk with Bakersfield Speedway, Scott Schweitzer. Their 70th season opening up. And no, Mike Griffith and Felix were not here to see that opening of the season. But in 1946, that track opened up, and this is actually their 70th season. They'll have to be able to carry that through a year. 70th anniversary next year, 70th season this season. So a lot of exciting things going on. They have some big-time drivers coming over in the late mods coming up here on Saturday. And, of course, we'll be talking to Kern County Raceway Park in the segment after that at about 11:30. And then 11:45, Mr. Explosive, Mark Sanders, talking about funny cars at Auto Club Famoso Raceway. We'll be right back after these messages.